Let me see if I can make that work. There you go, bingo. Thank you, thanks Richard. So just to share with you some takeaways for our session today. So really want to share with you our thinking about how you can attract students to your institution, and equally as important, once you have them, to engage them while they're with you, and how you actually retain them through a really nice contemporary modern approach to teaching now. Also want to share with you our own experience of what corporate businesses are doing within this learning space, particularly, and how you can develop expert facilitation skills across your university employee population. And also want to just offer you some our own top tips around presenting within a virtual environment. Great. So thank you. Sorry, I lost control there. So first of all, so thinking about supporting, attracting, engaging, retaining students. So we really believe that leveraging this virtual learning platform can enable your attraction strategy, how you attract students into your university. And as I said, really engaging them. So what's their experience going to be like while they're with you and learning? And also equally importantly is how you retain them, so that you are shoring up your income stream all the way through their course. And if we think about the situation we find ourselves in at the moment, then it's really critical for right now, a real opportunity to convert face-to-face lectures and seminars into a virtual session. But not only about right here and right now, but also how could you use this in the future? How could you embed it into a blended approach to your learning? So we really feel it's a right here, right now opportunity, but also for the longer term as well. Really importantly around this is about how it can deliver value for you. So we really believe this is an opportunity. It's to offer something different and engaging for students. So when they are coming along to your virtual open days, understanding and learning about how they will learn within your own university can provide you with a real USP. What it also does is mirror the learning in the workplace. So as students transition from university into the workplace, this is how they will be learning within that corporate environment. So as Jerry said, we work with a number of different organisations in lots of different sectors. And this is what organisations are doing. So they're having blended learning programmes, part of which, an important part of which is virtual learning. And more so because of the situation we find ourselves in. But not only that, they would also be required to take part in Zoom meetings. They will be required to have their camera open. They will be required to contribute to meetings. It's really important that they get some learning, so they really have a really super transition into the workplace. And really believe that's an opportunity to really attract students to your university. And we also know that if we can try and align a learning experience with the students' world, and we all know that they are super tech savvy, then how can we make sure that we are aligning that? So that transition from school, and we know that the schools are really engaging in this technology right now because they are having to, but how can we also align it to their own world that they live in? So I'm going to hand over to Jerry, who's going to talk a little bit more about learning in the corporate world.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. I guess, as I mentioned in my introduction, the shift in methodologies are commonly known to all of us, particularly the use and application of blended solutions from a number of reasons. One being the cost, i.e. it's efficient from the point of view of having people enabled to learn on a self-paced basis, using digital learning solutions. The big aha moment came when they realized that it's not really efficient for all types of content and learning. So the pendulum has been swinging between going all digital and then actually talking to our blue chip clients over the last 12 months even, there was a shift back to classroom-based learning for those soft skills-based subjects that lend themselves more appropriately to that. What wasn't really accelerating was the use of virtual technology for delivery. a gradual trickle, I'd like to call it. However, what we've seen this year, particularly because of the situation and the circumstances, is organizations moving, because they have to, into the virtual delivery world. And I guess that accounts for all of us. So I've put a number here on the screen of increasing to over 50%. If that relates to what would have been classroom-based delivery historically, I'm probably being conservative. Clearly, if they want to keep the learning moving, and that's the critical facet that they need to do, even though large numbers of staff have been furloughed, etc., they're still allowed to engage in learning. The only way you can reach them, of course, is through virtual methodology. Now, that puts everybody on the back foot a little bit in a tricky spot. And so we've found a lot of our clients have come to us to say, hey, can you help us? Because our trainers can't necessarily use that medium as effectively and efficiently as they need to. So not only are we delivering content ourselves directly to their staff, we're also training people to be able to use the technology and therefore rapidly increase their skill sets in order to enable them to deliver the learning. Because even though we're in this dire situation commercially and organizations are in survival mode, they still want to keep the learning moving for the simple reason that when we come out, they've got to be commercially sharp and ready to optimize their performance as and when the moment comes. And goodness knows, we all hope that moment comes sooner rather than later, fingers crossed.
So Jerry,
yeah, sure.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I was just interested to know what the experience of facilitators were. I mean, have you seen a correlation between people who you see who facilitate great sessions within the classroom online? Do they naturally transfer, or is there a disparity?
I would say that there's no actual evidence to say that somebody who's naturally strong in the classroom will transition to the virtual medium. Perhaps you could argue that it might require a little less flamboyance, but nonetheless, you've got to make it an engaging and enjoyable experience. Yeah. Our duty as learning professionals is to make sure that the learning is engaging and a wonderful experience, so people want to come back for more. You don't want to lose them. It's like in any human engagement. So if we're skillful at it, I think that we're all on a learning journey ourselves, just finding out how we can use it to its best potential. So I think some people need more help, and that's the issue. The confidence factor is critical. You might be brilliant in the classroom, but actually using technology does not mean you're going to be confident using technology. So it's the combination and blend of skill in facilitation and the confidence to handle technology and all sorts of things that can happen that you need to be able to cope with and contend with, and all the features and facets of technology that, let's face it, in the last 3 or 4 months we're all being forced to learn, and there's no choice. We have to do it. So as I say, we're helping our clients to develop their staff using virtual learning medium, but also the training population to be able to handle technology and to give people confidence to be able to use it. And therefore they can focus on delivering the content, which is what is so critical. And that's the end desired outcome. But, we're all on the same journey. And going back, we were probably 10 years ago, we were lucky to win a very big global contract with Cisco, who, as you know, are a big global tech company. And going back 10 years, they were developing telepresence systems, massively sophisticated back then. We were wowed by it when we went in to actually use it. We're on global conferences with people all over the world in sort of half a boardroom with a curved screen in front of you. Or the advent of WebEx, which is still a platform that people use now, and we still use to great effect. There are many, and Donna will tell you more when she moves on with the sort of techniques and technology application. But, you know, that was a great steep learning curve for us. It still continues to be a learning curve for us as technology advances and different mechanisms, different methods emerge. You know, we were like the baby giraffe to begin with, when trying to keep the connectivity going, and you've got people in different geographical locations, and they can get up and walk out of the room and back in again, and then they lose the audio connection, or, you know, all this stuff that can go on, and you learn as you go. Now we are pretty strong, pretty confident in the way in which it needs to be handled, but it continues to be a learning journey for all of us. However, the fundamental point is this is not going away now. The world, the new normal, will include the use of virtual learning more and more. There may be a shift back to face-to-face, inevitably, for certain topics and certain aspects of content, and organizations will want to do that. As a human race, we do like to actually physically get together. However, the population that are going to be coming into the universities in the next year certainly will want to be learning using virtual, digital, online, self-paced learning tools, and have access to all the different ways of learning. And if you're not on the front foot with your skill set and your ability and your agility to be able to offer all those different means of learning, then I fear that you may get left behind.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting to say. I mean, I did a very quick. I mean, virtual platforms have been quite strong for quite a while. Like, the technology has been there, as you said. But I, you know, even just surveying my two daughters about their experience in preparation for this, and they have said, you know, I've said, oh, which has been your favourite teachers in the past, you know, during lockdown to work with, and they're actually completely different to the favourite teachers they had before. I mean, the ones that they said they're getting the most, engaging with the most, and I did, you know, that's only a survey of 2, but even with those guys who are right now sitting in the other room doing virtual learning, exactly. So, you know, there does a difference. So I thought it'd be really interesting to ask Donna to give some insights into how you guys are helping facilitators in the corporate world, and hopefully that we can take some advice from that. So I thought the best thing to do was for you to show us what your structured learning is and the courses that you go through, and that you can just explain some of those skill sets or some of those things that you think are essential knowledge to have and skills to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Richard. Before I go through that, I just want to share my own personal experience, because I started off doing all of my facilitation face-to-face. That's what I loved. You know, I loved being in the room with people. I loved, you know, part of my USP as a facilitator was to be able to notice what was happening in the room, to be in the moment, to pick up some, you know, some behavioural observations. And then as I started to be able to do some virtual learning, I noticed how I felt about that. And first of all, I thought, well, I'm not sure I really want to do that. And would I still be able to do what I think I do really, really well on a virtual platform? And also, how on earth am I going to tackle the technology? I really, really didn't know how to use it. So started sort of dipping my toe in the water and doing a couple of virtual sessions, and probably not doing them particularly well. And I went on a virtual learning program myself to really understand the technology, what's the art of the possible within these platforms, but also to really increase my own confidence. So there is a really good balance here that's how do you increase your competence, your skills in this learning environment, but also how do you increase your confidence? And those two things are really, really important. And so what we do with you know, trainers, facilitators, but also, you know, people within organizations that we are working with, all the way through the levels of the organization, then offering people an opportunity to really enhance their skills. And what we know is that people will have different levels of experience and skill within this particular area. And so you develop 3 modules that are standalone, but also can be connected as well. So our foundation module is 2 60-minute virtual sessions. We'll, look at platforms, particularly the utilisation of the platforms. What's in the platform that you can use, such as whiteboards and breakout rooms, and how do you use the chat function really well. Preparing your command centre, what I mean by that is really making sure, particularly at the moment when we are all working from home, is your hardware compatible with what you're trying to deliver? How's your Wi-Fi? What's your backup for this? How do you put rigor around your command centre? When we look at the graduate module, again, 2 60-minute virtual sessions, this is really about taking that next step and really from the foundation. So you might be someone that, you might have someone in your institution that's kind of got the foundation, but really is looking to hone their skills even further. So here we'd be looking at really taking a deeper dive into facilitation skills for the virtual environment. How do I actually use a breakout room to your best effect? With the learning outcomes that I really want to deliver for my learners. One of the real game changers for me is working with a producer, and I've delivered virtual with and without, and I can absolutely categorically say 100% to have a producer would be our advocacy. Having someone who is able to manage the technology for you, someone who is able to bring a whiteboard up for you, someone to be able to set the breakout rooms for you, someone to notice what's happening in the chat. And that really allows you and your the people that you work with to really concentrate and focus on what they are brilliant at in terms of that learning content, and to be with the learners in the moment within that platform. We also know that what's really important is how do we align learning for the millennials at the moment. So I had a great example yesterday. My son's home from university. He's doing a final project of his first year, all about the music industry and the potential saturation of the music industry. And I'd come across a really great video from The Economist working with the client last year. And I said, Ollie, have a look at this video. I'll send it to you. It's really good. And I think it really aligns with the project you're doing. And I showed it and he said, no, it's 18 minutes long. And I sort of said,
18 minutes, yeah.
18 minutes long. For him, that was like, oh, that's so long. And what I also noticed that he watched 10 minutes of it and then stopped and then had and then did something else and then went back. And I think we have to be
break, yes.
Needs a break from that whole 18 minutes. So, and actually the virtual platform really helps and enables that, because you can have lots of things going on. You can have lots of activities that people are engaging with. So I think that fits really nicely into that space. And then for people who really want to sophisticate their skills, moving into the mastery module. And here, really what we want to do is, certainly my experience of my learning programme was to deliver a virtual session, be observed delivering a virtual session, and get feedback about delivering a virtual session. And this is what we would offer here. So people who really want to move into that mastery level for their skills.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think most people who have joined today are going to be within sort of marketing teams, or they're promoting. And as we've spoken about, it's it's just as important that you deliver the product. But if you're going to sell the fact that you do virtual learning well as an organization, a college or a university, then when you're attracting students, you're going to want to show that within that environment. And one of the things that you did pull out there was that, we're used to running open days. And if you're running an open day in a university or a college, then you're effectively an events organizer for the month and the lead up. And what I guess we're going to change to now are roles from events organizers to producers. So I think we've pulled together some tips. I said to Donna, can you just help? What does it mean? What do you mean by being a producer? It sounds very grand and scary, but is it something everyone can do? And is it something that marketing and the attraction team should be facilitating?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, some of our top tips to be a great producer and a great supporter for the representatives who are going to be either live streaming something, or having a meeting like this, or just doing a piece to camera as part of that virtual open day. Be brief, keep it really simple, and the power of 3 is something that I would always advocate. What are your 3 key messages, and how does that align to the values of your university? What are your real key messages? What's the attention grabber? What's the thing that if I'm a student and I'm consuming this, what is the one thing or two things that really grab my attention at the very beginning that will keep my attention long enough to stay with you, to really, really hear what you have to offer for me? So thinking about your audience, what would they want to see? We've got, selling the sizzle, which is a Jerryism I'm really going to use. So what's the sizzle that you really want to sell? The third point is about prep, practice. This is really super important. Get feedback and practice it. I always start off with having a script and literally writing down, or almost word for word, verbatim, exactly what I want to say. Well done. And then honing that down into some key messages so it becomes more natural in the way that your dialogue is coming across, and then practice it. So the more you practice, the more confident that you will be when you are delivering it. Another tip is about the sound. So today I'm using just my laptop sound, but sometimes you want it to be super, super professional. Then really investing in a proper microphone can be really impactful. So thinking about how to, and receiving the sound yourself. So, playing it back, what does the sound actually sound like? Sometimes we just don't hear it for ourselves. And really important, think about how you look. How do you want your representatives to look? How do you want them to be congruent with your university, the values that you stand off, the whole experience that a student will have? How do you sound? How are you coming across? How are you appearing? One of the things that, my hair really needs cutting, by the way. I don't know about yours, but mine really does. So me, it's about putting my hair up.
Mine's fine, Donna. I'm completely happy with that.
So, putting my hair up. But I'm actually standing up today. And I think that I try and do that when I'm doing my virtual sessions. One, it's really good practice to stand up from a well-being perspective, but also I think it also grounds you when you are delivering something virtual. So there would be some top tips for us to offer you today.
Yeah, that's great, Donna. And honestly, for all the webinars that I've done over the past couple of weeks, this is the one that has caused me the most amount of pressure and stress, because I know this is what you judge people on. So I've tried to be the best producer as possible. I've got a long way to go, but you've certainly helped me out, which is great. So, I mean, that's amazing. You've delivered some really interesting insights there. So we've understood about the importance that we're going to have to accept that even if it's blended, this platform is going to be the way that we're going to have to deliver some learning in the short to the medium term. And maybe because of those future benefits of this is how workplace is going to do, this may well just become the way that we should be putting learning across and preparing, our young cohorts coming through college, university to really prepare themselves for life doing this on a day-to-day basis. So thanks everyone for listening. We will be putting together a recording and sending that out so you can share that, so you can pick up on Donna's tips there and Jerry's insight into the corporate world. We'll share the presentation as usual, so you'll have that to share. These guys are true experts in this field, and they do this for a job. If you would like to reach out to them to ask them about how you might implement train the trainer learning, help your lecturers, your students perform in front of camera and take learning, then please do. They're available and great people to work with. And just finally, I'll just let you know about our next webinar, which may well be the 9th or 10th. This is as, and if you attend this, then you'll get a badge. Because especially if you've attended all of them. But so our next one is really about branding in higher education and how you can make sure you get that competitive edge and do branding. Richard Midgley and Sam Parks are really experienced and always knock me off my feet when I hear them talk about branding, their passion for how to get a message of an organization across, what it really means, branding. And they'll bring some amazing insights like we've done today from the corporate world. Richard Midgley, has launched Remington. He launched Krabby's alcoholic ginger beer. He's got oodles of experience on how to launch and brand products. So I hope you will attend that and enjoy that. But I also hope more that you've enjoyed, and thank you for attending. So it's goodbye from me. If you've got any questions, you can email us. We don't really tend to do the questions at the end anymore because we like to keep this concise. So we'll do a reach out and ask those questions back to us on emails, and let's continue to talk. So thanks very much. I will now close down the share and the webinar. So thanks everyone. Have a great day and see you next week.